Okay, so first question. How did your relationship with your father affect your life in a positive way?
And my relationship with my father affected my life in a positive way because he was there for me. So out of all my friends, I was the only one pretty much that had a father in my life. All my friends were pretty much raised by their mothers. So my father was like the first example of a male role model that was everybody's dad. You know what I mean? So it was very important for them to see like it's a strong black man, in this young kid's life. Well, because there's six of us. So my dad was like pretty much a father to all of them, giving them advice, helping them, really showing them how to be a man. So everybody loved to be at my house. But for me personally, I want to be the person I am today without my father because he taught me so many life lessons and things like that. He always kept it real. He never sugarcoated nothing. He was old school. You know what I mean? So I kind of learned from him like the hard way. Like he was a man. Like he worked. I seen him work. You know what I mean? And on top of that, working, he had a way of now that I'm older, I realize like how important it is to have somebody there that's kind of like not just like embracing all the time, but also get that tough love because he'll tell me when I'm doing something wrong, like you're not slick, you know, you need to watch your mouth or how you act, and that's not how you carry yourself, and be a leader, not a follower. I see you being a follower, so like he always like put me in check. I'll be like, that ain't your friend. Stay away from people like that. And I learned to appreciate that. And it was just my birthday 2 days ago. My father actually passed on my birthday about 6 years ago, and it's crazy. Out of all the days, 365 days, you passed on my birthday. Um, we actually buried him on his birthday two weeks later, which was on September 13th. So it's just crazy, my experience with my father. I wish I could have him now because we don't realize how short life is. And for those that do have fathers in their life, we can call and things like that. I can't because that was my advice. So I mean, anytime I needed advice, I'll call my dad like, "Hey, Dad, how I do this." My dad was like a man of many answers. Like he was very smart and intelligent. He'll steer me in the right direction, how to do things and how to go about things. So I already looked up to him a lot.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
No father, is perfect. I interviewed a firefighter yesterday, and he was saying like his dad, gave a lot, taught him a lot, but he was mean. He was just like
Yeah.
a lot. He was like, I liked him more when he wasn't home, right? So, based on that, what did you have any negative experiences that, or effects that you learned from your father?
Yeah, of course. My dad wasn't perfect. You know what I mean? He was rich in love. He always tried to provide a roof over our head. We did, go through some struggling times and things like that. Um, Growing up in Oakland, he got caught, he went to jail for a couple of years, you know what I mean? So it left, 3, 4 years left a strain on my mom, you know what I mean? She really struggled to raise all these kids and things like that. So yeah, just seeing him being out there and things like that, like he had a lot of respect in the streets also, but also he had the other side to where he tried to be on a straight and narrow too. So he wasn't a perfect father, but also, he was real. Like I said, rich in love. He never like left us, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people, fathers be in and out their life and things like that. His father was passed, he passed along, I was like 6 when he passed. I always tell him like be in your kid's life, never let nobody raise your kids, and he always pushed that on me, like when you have a kid, don't let no other man raise your kid, be there for your kid and things like that, be a stand-up man. I don't care what you got to do, take care of your kids, take care of your babies. So yeah, like I said, being mean, yeah, he'll cuss me out, he'll let me know what I'm doing. I ain't gonna say I was a perfect kid. I was the black sheep of the family. At first, I was the one that get in trouble a lot. I'm the one that went to jail about 2, 3 times for stuff that had nothing to do with me. He had to come save me. He had to come get me out of school because I got in a fight. So he was getting tired of some of my antics and how he used to talk to me, especially in front of people, was to be like, I kind of deserved it, but also, he had a way of, saying some things that, like, damn, you gonna talk to me like that? Because he didn't sugarcoat nothing. He had a crazy mouth, so so yeah, so I kind of watch out what I say to my kids because some of the stuff he used to say to me, man, I was be hurt.
Yeah,
But it shaped me to be a strong man today. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but it shaped me not to be in my feelings. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. So I was gonna ask you as a follow-up question, what have you learned from those positive and negative effects? How have you taken that into fatherhood, with your young?
Yes, sir. So now, from seeing how I was raised, it's a lot of things I want my kids to be around or how I talk to them. So now instead of me approaching from a negative manner or, if they do something wrong and I'm yelling at them instantly, I ask them like, what are you doing? Why did you do that? This is what happened if you do that. I kind of like question them and I kind of tell them why you shouldn't do it. So I'm more cautious about how I approach my kids. I'm kind of being mindful of your tone, and of my emotional intelligence of how I approach situations. I approach it with precaution rather than just reacting right away. I catch myself because my daddy, but man, what are you doing? You don't do, and it kind of make you feel like, it make you feel bad in a way. So I had to really watch some things of how I felt when I was little and how I got talked to about some things, because like I said, my dad, sometimes he can cuss like a sailor. Um, so I watched that how I approach some situations like that. So that negative effect and how I raise my kids is like, I'm gonna raise them in a good community. I'm gonna make sure they got the same thing, roof for their head, things like that, but they're rich in love and how they being talking, spoken to.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So explain the transition of pre-fatherhood and before you had kids to now all of a sudden okay, boom, I'm about to have my first child. Explain that
And
transition.
that's a good question, man. That was a scary thing for me, man, having a kid because I started thinking, I don't know why, but it's like when everybody else have kids around you, it's like, oh, they got kids, that's cool, that's cool. But when I started, I got scared. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, can I do this? How my kids gonna turn out? I start instantly thinking like they're gonna be caught up in the streets. They going you know what I mean? So it's like, cause I work with kids, so it's like I see the negative effects. Some people are great parents, and their kids still come out to be doing what they want to do because they get caught up in their environment. So pre-kids, I had no worries, but once my wife was pregnant, I started thinking about the health effects, what can happen, um, what's how my kids gonna turn out.
Mhm.
So I wanted to be the best father I can be. So, but I didn't, it was a lot. It was a learning curve. I had to stop thinking about myself and getting up and leaving and doing stuff I want to do at my own time. So that first year, asleep and transitioning and worried about myself, it was really hard to adjust. But after a while, you gotta get accustomed to it. And then I started like realizing like I got something for it to look come on when I go home tonight, and I gotta be there, and I start, embracing it. But I was scared as anybody else. People say they love, but I was scared. I was always check the baby, see if make sure the baby breathing. Um, yeah, I would be scared I get left by myself too, because I'm gonna do something because all the SIDS. Because I worked in the hospital, so I seen a lot of SIDS, things like that. So it was terrifying for me until, my daughter at first got over that couple months and could do stuff. But yeah, so just me dealing with that and how I wanted to raise was like a really hard thing. But now I got 3 kids, so.
Yeah. So I was gonna
Mhm.
ask you that, like, okay, so you got three, so you got some experience from the first one to the second one, and now you got three. So how have you transitioned from being a father, that first time father, to boom, you got that third born? You kind of like, okay, did you have kind of have like that veteran feel to it, or was it still a challenge?
No, it was a veteran fit. Actually, it made me go harder.
Mm,
So my first daughter was born like 2017. My second was born literally right in the smack of COVID. My second daughter, but literally like COVID, what came like what I want to say what March, May, whatever. My daughter was born in June, so right when COVID hit, it was like a lot going on. It was just like, man, my daughter had COVID. But I was a veteran, so it was just like I wasn't scared. I was just scared about like my daughter don't catch COVID because they had all these rules in the hospital, like nobody can be there, only the mother and father. They had stuff sealed off. It was like crazy. People walking around looking like they going to space, and I was really terrified because I didn't know what was going to go on. I was hearing about babies catching COVID and all this crazy stuff at the hospitals, and if I was sick, and but by that time I think I knew it was time for me to make more money. It was time for me to really step my game up because I seen how much money it took to raise my first child and things I went through and little struggles I went through in the first, that first, year or 2 years. So then I quit my job and I decided to work another job and I got back in school because I realized that me having a second child, I gotta have more income. With diapers and all the stuff that I never really knew about, I kind of see that it's not just a challenge, but now I need a bigger car. You know what I mean? Like I got a Charger, and it's like,
yeah,
yeah, I can't have 2 kids and make no Charger. I gotta have an SUV. All these, baby bags with strollers and things like that. So I start getting more wiser, and I realized like to do that, I gotta have more money and things like that. So I ain't gonna lie, what help you, you gotta to move forward. Sometimes you gotta get rid of your old stuff to move to something new. So I quit my job, and then I started working at group homes, and then I started applying for a juvenile hall. which I ended up getting. God got a mysterious way to doing things. Once you move forward, it's like you start opening the door. So within that first couple of months, man, I did get hired at juvenile hall. Once I quit my job at group home, the juvenile hall, and I started making that real money, that six figures. Yeah, man, things changed a lot with my second child, but now I got a third one, which is my son. I finally got my son, which he's almost 3 years old. But by that time, I'm vetted. I understand what it takes to raise kids, and yeah, changing diapers and all that stuff became a norm, and barely getting sleep. You know what I mean? Operating with little sleep and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. So, as a young father, this is a three-part question. As a young father, what was your biggest fear? You kind of touched on it earlier, but what was your biggest fear as a young father? Like before your child was born and then after, you know what I mean? Like, what's your biggest fear?
So before my child was born, is I'm not gonna lie, it's like what my child gonna look like. I was really like concerned. Me just looking at other kids, with special needs or autism and things like that. Is my child gonna come with some type of defects? Is it gonna come with all the limbs? Um, just all the things that can go wrong. I was kind of thinking like, I was kind of praying and hoping that everything comes out right. That's the biggest fear because I know people with, kids with, special needs and things like that. So it's kind of like put me in that headspace, like, because everybody don't come out. It's a blessing. We don't count our blessings, just to have all your limbs or, your eye or be able to speak or be in your right mind and things like that. Things happen to some of us, unfortunately. So that was my biggest fear. I was thinking like, what my kids going to look like when they come out and everything going to be okay.
Yeah. What
And,
was,
and
yeah, my bad. Go ahead. My bad.
no,
Go ahead.
no, I said, what's the second part?
The second part was what was your biggest challenge as a young father?
I want to say my biggest challenge was really providing and making sure that everything's okay because providing and making sure that they got everything that they need, but actually spending that quality time. It's not just about the money. A lot of us, especially old school, they think that just having a job and be able to pay the bills is enough for the kids, but it's really that quality time. My dad spent so much time working, you know what I mean? Like investing in your kids and sports and things like that. Because I played football, I did a lot, but he was always at work. So I want to make sure my daughters are they at school. Like I'm gonna pop up today and before I do something, just to say hey or drop something off. Like that means a lot. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be looking at people fathers, they be there at the games and things like that. My parents working trying to provide just to pay the bills, like everything. I thought Bill when I was little was a person. That's so much I heard. So like I hear Bill. I'm like, who is Bill? But I told myself, no lie, I told my wife, I was like, I ain't want to talk about bills. I want to be able to pay bills without an issue. When I was little, I heard Bill. I was a hate Bill. I'd hear Bill so much and then yelling, whoever this person Bill is, I don't like him. So yeah, so that was my challenge as I don't want to hear bills, and I want to make sure that time is worth more than money because when you pass, you're gonna remember how somebody made you feel. And was they there for you? It's not about the money if they provide it. It's about what they there for you. Because there's a lot of fathers that don't have anything, but they got that rich in love, that rich in time, and their kids is gonna turn out great because they spent that time to raise them.
Exactly. Exactly. So the C part, the third part is like, what is your biggest regret looking back on things as a young father? Do you wish you could do things differently?
As a young father, yeah, I want to say, with my first child, I wish I could have did more because I know my wife talked about because I was trying to figure things out. I wish I could have like supported her more. Even though I was supporting, but I was working three jobs at the time, trying to figure it out, trying to get in here and do this, and what I mean. I really was trying to find myself at that moment, and I was trying to also provide, but I feel like I missed a lot of time. Like my dad, I was working a lot, so when I come home, I'll be tired, and yeah, just being young and just trying to make sure food's on the table and support her. So I really feel like I should have been spending more quality time. And that didn't happen with my other two, even though I'm there. But I understood what she said that she needed more help. Um, because when I started having my daughter by myself, when I took that leave from absence at work, I was like, man, when you come, I was accounting when she come home, like, okay, 5 hours ago, 4 hours ago. You know what I mean? I was really counting down because I was be like, this is a lot. And
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that.
No, they don't. They don't. Like I because I was single. I'm a single father, so when I stepped away from their mom, my oldest was 3, my youngest was 9 months. So, I remember coming home, sitting there with this baby under 1 years old, and I'm sitting there at night, every night they sleep, and I'm over there just looking bewildered, just sitting in the dark, like, dang, this life, just
This life.
like work, kids, home, repeat. It's like so yeah, raising kids, whether you're doing it by yourself, even with two, it's very, very difficult, man. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, bro. So
And
next,
salute to you too, because I know, man, and I got a little help, and I can just imagine, because yeah, when I started really, like you said, being there and halfway sleep, and I was a red grade too, so I be sitting look like a vampire sometimes to get home. The kids wide up, she can leave, go to work. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, so you doing it by yourself, man, it's a salute to you, man.
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. I remember, what helped me was I just asked my mom one day. I was like, Mom, how did you do it raising four by yourself? And she was like, I just focused on y'all raising the kids, and that helped me. That helped me a lot. That helped me to really focus. Like, hey, just focus on them. Don't worry about
Right.
don't worry about nothing else. So yeah, them days when you tired, you frustrated, focus on them. I mean, that went a very, very long way. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So over the years, how have you changed, as a father, over the years?
I think it really I mean, I've been more compassionate. It really softened me up. I got two girls that I have to really watch, because if I say anything the wrong way, they start crying. They daddy girls. My middle child, she definitely did. I can't go nowhere. It made me realize the beauty of life. It made me want more out of life. Like, as far as like with my business, I'm able to work with kids more because I understand I have my own kids. So how I talk to my kids is how I talk to somebody else's kids. So it makes you realize things, how special kids are, how they get from God, um, and it makes me see the things how I want to raise my kids from just the environment I be in, and when I'm working with the youth and things like that. So I just really enjoy fatherhood. A lot of it's just a shame that a lot of men run from it.
Yeah,
And they, of course it's hard, of course it's challenging, but at the end of the day, they didn't ask to be here. That's your seed. You know, um, they just here, and then you not being able to raise them, it's your fault how they turn out, because with a father in life they can be a lot different. You know, and I say that, and I can say that for myself, because I turned out a lot different from my friends that didn't have fathers. I'm not saying everybody was bad, because some moms do the best they can, their kids come out great. But with just my father in my life, I realized that I act a little different. Even though he's a little tough on me, my mom was very loving. She's in church, want to pray and sympathize, all sweet and things like that. My dad was like rough, like, no, don't nah, get away, let him. So it's like I got two sides. Like, I just didn't have the compassionate side. I had the manly side, and I needed that part, because with that I would have got away with a whole lot of stuff. I could just imagine if my mom just let me. If I would been not, I'm telling you, I would have been a whole different person without that balance.
yeah,
Um, so yeah,
yeah. Thanks for sharing, bro.
yes
So
sir.
can you think of when it was a pivotal moment for you as a father?
Yeah, I forgot to share the story about my middle child. So this is when I think this is the first time I really like didn't know, like, all right. So my first child was born, nothing happened. My second child, she was born, the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck. Um, and when she was coming, we trying to get her out. She wouldn't come out, and they realized that that the umbilical cord around her neck, so they had to do like a emergency something, and they pushed me out the way and this like that. But she wasn't breathing
Mm,
for like a whole minute, and they like, I swear it's like 15 doctors came in, like everybody stormed the room so quick, and they wasn't saying nothing to me. I see them pushing, they like blocking me. I'm like, man, what's going on? I didn't know what was going on. Then it tells that the umbilical cord wrapped around the neck. I remember the baby not breathing for a long time. And I remember at that moment I felt hopeless. I didn't know what was going on. I thought my baby was dead. Eventually the air came in her lungs, and it started coughing, but it was like over a minute, I remember. And it was like, 1 minute, we got this time, we got it. And I remember them saying, like, the baby's not breathing. So my daughter middle name is Miracle Blue, because she was blue, literally, like, I cannot kid you, like the color when she came out, it was like grayish, bluish, and they realized that she was even breathing.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank God just for that moment, because it could have really, really bad. So thank you for the doctors to be able to catch that. But also, it's scary because birth, a lot of people die during birth.
Mhm.
But also complications can happen. They didn't realize the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck, which means when we was pushing her out, she was getting choked,
Yeah, yeah,
which means that she wasn't breathing. So at that moment, like I really cherish birth of having kids. A lot of people can't have kids, but also during birth, a lot of kids do die, you know, and that right there showed me how quick my daughter could not be here, and that's the one that's the daddy's girl.
yeah.
And that moment, I really, I think I hold her that night, or I don't think I even slept that night, but I was just like, it was like surreal to me. It was like a pivotal moment to show how quick life can be taken. Like you so happy waiting for this baby for almost a year, baby almost died. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and that made me just like really appreciate life. Like, man, in the instant, that split second, you can lose it all, And I remember feeling like helpless. I couldn't do nothing. I remember just kept praying, but I remember at that moment, I just like I felt weak, helpless, and I was like in the blur that whole day because
Hmm.
it could have went the opposite way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, bro. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Um, how does being a father affect your career? Like what skills, you know what I'm saying, and traits do you take into your career that you've learned from fatherhood?
That's a good question. I think I go into fatherhood with an understanding. With my career, just understanding of the youth more. Like I said, to being compassionate, but also being fathers to other people, like other young men that I work with. I work with a lot of young men, so I'm able to talk to them in a way that they understand, they're able to grasp, but also with the intelligence that they don't have a father, and most of me being older than them, they can look at me as a father figure, the role model. I'm older than them to be a brother, but I understand that we all father figures. Especially when you're over the age 30, when you're working with youth, they looking up to you. Everything you do, how you move, how you talk to them, how you present yourself. So I present myself in a matter as a father that's kind of stern, but also that's cool, but also will let you know the real. But and also be loving and give you everything that that you need. So I think it helped me become a better person because I care about coming home. I care about the things I do, decisions I make because everybody watching, from my kids to the kids that's watching me to how conduct myself.
Hmm.
Every day, somebody's watching, whether it's my kids, and the best is the way I talk. I know you probably had this before. Playing something in the car, and your kids start singing the words, you realize like, man, I shouldn't have been playing that song. Um, Perfect example. I was just the radio or something came on, but a Sexy Red song came on, that ski or whatever song came on. My daughter was like a couple years old, but she started singing it, and we got out the car. Let me know what's up. I was like, me not realizing, just driving, just zoned out. I
Hmm.
realized the things we listen to and our kids, they're soaking up. They're like a splitting image, they're like a mirror. They're just taking everything in that they're seeing and hearing. And she was like, "Why you getting mad at me? You played that song." I was like, "I did." She was like, "I heard it in your car. I like that song." And I just, and that moment right there was like,
Hmm.
no, nothing ever in the car again. I don't care. We got to be Kids Bop. It got to be something, something. But Apple Music then played something, and I was just like just driving to it. But my kids and just soaked it in so much that they was scared. Like I think they probably still saying that, and just to be funny. But that right there showed me how quick that you could be an influence, not even realizing what you're doing. We so older now. We listen to something like whatever, right? But the kids gonna soak that all in, like. You know what I mean? So we got to really be mindful of the things we say and whatever we put out there, and we'll come back. Like I said, that quick car ride from school or whatever, they was singing that song. I'm like, no, you is not gonna learn who that is. Who that is? You're not gonna be nothing like that. So yeah,
No, it's funny you say that because I think it was not too long after I had, me and my son, I took my sons and I left. I was at the laundromat on High Street, right across the street from the Walgreens, you know,
yeah,
right there, that same little plaza where the donut shop is. So I'm in there stressed out. My oldest son running around the laundromat, my youngest son in the stroller. I'm just sitting there just looking just bewildered. And this OG black dude, he walked by just like, hey, I've been there. He was like, it all matters. I just kind of looked at him like, I'm mad. Like, man, why are you talking to me? He was like, man, it all matters, right? And it stuck, and for whatever reasons, that stuck with me though. It all matters. Like, so all of that mattered, like me taking my sons with me to go do laundry, go grocery shopping, them seeing me at home cleaning up, doing chores and doing errands. Like you said, not listening to trap music or rap music that got a bunch of cursing in it. You know what I'm saying? Not me having a bunch of women around them and so on and so forth. It really changed how I looked at, what I did and what I didn't do. Know what I'm saying? So that term, I got that tattooed on the back of my arm. It meant that much. So, that's, when you was telling that story about everything matters because your kids, no matter what you tell them, they watching everything you do.
Mhm.
You could tell them, oh yeah, don't listen to that. But if you listening to it, they gonna listen to it. If that's how you talking, that's how they gonna talk. So yeah, that's very, very powerful. Like, so I know firsthand the power of that. Like, yo, you got to censor yourself as a parent and you got to lead by example, and I think that's why a lot of parents they run from parenthood because they're selfish. They want to
Yep.
they want to do what they want to do rather than make those sacrifices, what I'm saying, to lead the way. You know what I'm saying? That's because this podcast is attached to my clothing line through the fire. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, you've been there. You didn't been through the fire. You didn't seen the negative sides of it. You didn't seen the bad side of it. So you trying to raise your kids above that. You know what I mean? So that's dope, bro. Like I felt that one. Like like for yeah. So
Appreciate that.
yeah, it's all good. So we're gonna switch that question around. How does your career affect you being a father? Like what do you take from your career, back home to your kids?
So affected in a good or negative way? Just positive?
Hmm.
Both.
Yeah, both.
Um,
Both. Yeah, share both.
so one thing I realized, when I did work juvenile hall, I was gone all the time. You know what I mean? Now I got my own business, so I'm more flexible. Just like I'm able to talk to you now. But me being gone 12, 14 hours after day, I wasn't spending that much time, but I do be off 3 or 4 days.
Mhm.
But I be kind of tired during them days, you know what I mean? So it's like working overtime, doing this crazy shifts. I feel like I was like spread thin a little bit. Now that I doing what I love and I'm flexible and I'm able to run my business and do what I want to do at my own time. um I feel like the important time is very important when you raising kids. Like I'm gonna go see my daughter real quick, check on her real quick, and drop something off at the school, and just have that freedom to pop in and out or tell people, hey, I can't make today without because I'm my own boss. It's very important being there. Like work is not your life. People think that they're gonna work for a living. That's not your life. Your life starts when you stop working. Like people want to work all the time to make money just to pay the bills. That's not life. And we think just providing is life. That's just a part of what you have to do as a parent, as somebody that's being responsible. Just like you don't get no flyers for being a dad. You're supposed to be a dad. You're supposed to be a parent. Like they don't come with no thank yous and nothing like that. That's your job. That's what you signed up for. You had these kids, right? They didn't ask to be here. So it's like you don't get cookies and brownie points for being a father. You just do what's right. You're supposed to do that. So, but the time is all up to you. Being there, having the time, and I realized that was important. And sometimes I realized that I'd be stretched from my job, especially when I had a hard day or I dealt with something that was really crazy, like a death or a kid, an overdose or something crazy. I needed a restraint or something like that. I'm a little sore. I try not to bring stuff home with me. Even though we all say we leave it there and all that, it's kind of hard not to think about stuff when you do get home and try to decompress. So like you said, then you got the baby that's crying, and then they got to eat, and then you got to make them a lunch, or they hungry, or they want to go get some ice cream, go to Chuck E. Cheese, and you tired. You know what I mean? And they full of energy, and you come home drained already. You like, man, like you sitting on the couch, like, I wish I want to eat again. Like what? They
Many
look at
people
this. They did one crawling up here, one over here. You like, all right,
you be like, I know it ain't good, but let me order some DoorDash and McDonald's right quick. I'm too tired to cook.
right. Right. I'm gonna have Little Caesars, man. Y'all go to sleep. I'm gonna sit right here. Y'all be quiet. Here's your iPads. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's crazy, and I try not to take that out on my kids. I try to, they kids, so I don't try to, stop their fun. They excited to see me. I try to bring that same energy because I'm out here working with everybody else kids and giving that time, that energy. So, I gotta give it to my own. That, like you said, people, the other guy that was a firefighter or whatever, like you said, like we can be great for everybody, but when it comes to our own family, that's when people, that's when you show who you really are. Because to me, everything starts at home. It's not what you do in the community. If your house not in order, then you not in order. No matter what people say, like, yeah, you can save and do this and that. But if you're not, right in your own home, then who are you to your own family? If your family can't speak highly of you, then none of that really matters.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So that goes to like imagine that imagine Jesus saving everybody, saving all his lives, but he beefing with God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what does
I was
that
gonna
mean?
say that's in the Bible, you know what I mean? Like a man got to take care of home first before you know what I'm saying, taking care of what's going on in the congregation or whatever. So yeah, that's fact.
Right.
That
And
ain't no
so,
opinion, you know what
yeah,
I
get your house in order.
mean? That's facts.
Yeah. Right. I'm believing you or believe whatever, whatever religion people live in, whatever higher power, but you do all this stuff and your house ain't in order. You know, you're not living right. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So it to me that's important because how men do one thing is how I do everything. You know what I mean? So if you take care of your family, you good to your family, and they got good things to say about you. Do you know that you're really a great person? That's like you being a deadbeat father, but then you out here working with kids and saving lives, doing all this stuff, but you're not even there for your own kids. That's a oxymoron. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's man, facts, dude. Facts. So
and we see it, and we know some people like that too. We ain't gonna put them on the spot, but we know a couple people that looks good on Instagram and Facebook, but we know they ain't there
yeah.
for them kids.
That's why I'm selective about who I have on the podcast. 'Cause I know how dudes be out here fronting and like, nah, nah,
Yeah.
I know you, bro.
Yeah, we
Like, nah, your son live in a whole nother state, or your daughter live, you ain't so, yeah, nah, I'm good.
right. You ain't post a birthday, you ain't post no graduations, you're not there. Them kids is growing up here, and you not and I'm be honest, some friends like that, I know that, I kind of stay away from 'em. I kind of don't, but how you ain't there for your kids, I can't really respect that because I'm there for my kids and your kids next to be here and I might run into them and yeah, it's just like, but you living your best life and your kids suffering.
Yeah. Like I got a saying like with that, like I can't be close friends with a man that abandoned his kids because if he could turn his back, like you said, on their own seed, right? On their own child, they for sure gonna turn their back on you at some point. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I can't be cool with you. I can't be, hey, bro, what's up? Let's take this trip out the country. Let's go do this. Nah, bro. Like, hey, what's up? All right, good seeing you. Peace. Yeah, for real. Yeah, because
Yeah,
like even as adults, right? You got to be conscious of who you kick it with. You know what I mean? You gotta be conscious of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's all connected, man. It's all connected. Yeah.
yes, sir, because they ain't got no morals and standards. Like you said, they can't be there for their kids. How you gonna be there for me?
I can't trust them. I got a
Right.
cousin like that, man. He got a bunch of kids. Can't trust them. And I told him, like, he was like, man, that hurt. I'm like, I ain't gonna lie to you, cuz. You ain't there for your kids, but you want to have this close, dope relationship with me. I can't do that. Because I still talk to his kids, every once in a while. It's like, how can I? Oh yeah, me and your dad was over here kicking it, but
Right.
I'm like, I ain't talked to my dad in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? That don't sit well with me. I can't do that. So yeah, man. So next question, like, how do you want to be remembered by your children? Like when they get older, especially when they move into adulthood, how you want to be remembered by them?
That's a great question. And that's the reason why I work as hard as I do now. So how I want to be remembered, I want to be remembered as, you know, the, a father that really was there for them, that spent the time to actually build something. Like when I leave, when I'm not here, my kids are gonna know, like, man, he did all this for me. If I could lead this business with him, of course, I'm gonna leave, money and life insurance and things like that, but also leave a message, leave a way of life. You know what I mean? So my son grew up to be the man that he should be. He should be his own man. He see me leading and running the business, doing things. He learned examples from me, right? Being a stand-up person, being somebody, because a lot of these kids now, the term YN, I'm switching the narrative. I'm doing YMs, young men. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm changing the narrative of what people think is. Like I'm changing these YNs to YMs and letting them know, like, ain't no such thing as a real, N word. You know what I mean? It's a state of mind because anybody can change. I'm pretty sure everybody's running around here being young, wild, and reckless, right? But only young men grow up. You know what I mean? You don't have to stay in that mindset. So I'm changing that narrative, and I want to show my daughters that what it means to be a man. So when they marry somebody, they got an example of. My father took me out already. Like we travel a lot. My kids have been everywhere. We just got back from Jamaica. It's like I want to be able to show them, like, yeah, we go on a lot of trips. We go to Disneyland, Disney World, Jamaica, cruises, Mexico, all these other places. Like we've been there and done that. Like when my dad was here and this and that, like we've been everywhere. We ate stuff. We spent the time. We got the pictures. We got the videos. We got the lifestyle. So it's not about just going places, but it's about spending that quality time on Christmases, sitting around the tree, drinking hot cocoa, and just really getting that family time in. Things I didn't do when I was younger. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of stuff I'm seeing as family oriented. It don't cost much to go walk the streets, with the lights lit up and see things and what I mean, just be at the park and do the things that don't cost you much, right? It's just about spending time exploring and really going out and being a father and finding creative ways to spend that family time. People think you always got to spend thousands of dollars and things like that. You don't,
Nah.
right? Even taking your kids to ride their bikes and just be at the park and just having fun, or little splash parks that's free, and just finding ways to get them engaged in the community and just spend that time. And today you play so hard they fall asleep in the car. That's the stuff I like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We never have to pick them out the car because we had a long day and
Mm.
they have fun. And then Daddy, can we do it again tomorrow? You know, so that's how I want to be remembered, to being there for my kids and set up a lifestyle so where they see like, and then and when they are there and they hear things about me, like, "Your dad did this, he did this," and they like, "Man, my dad did so much, and he was there for me too." So it's just like, just to be able to embrace the love of what I did, in my personal life and how I was a father. That should be different. My personal life should be different from what I did in the community and my business. So it should be, dang, he did this and this and had time to do this with us. So I want to be that type of person.
Yeah, that's dope, man. And like you're exactly right, about quality time, don't cost nothing. Like one of the things that I like being, want to be remembered by is like my dad always made sure, we always had fun. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing. Like, 'cause you don't want to be that drill sergeant. You know what I mean? Like just always orders, this, that, and the other. So like to your point, like we was sitting at home one day. It was at night, and I'm like, "Hey, y'all want to have fun?" They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Turn off all the lights." All right, and they're like, "Okay." And I was like, "Go grab your Nerf guns. Y'all got to come inside. Y'all got to find me." So called the SWAT. So they going. I live right on Bancroft, so they go outside with the Nerf guns and come inside try to find me. We was up to like midnight, just they was having a blast, you know what I mean? And my sons are 16 and 13. To this day, they still want to play that. You know what I mean? So they always gonna remember those little moments that didn't cost nothing. We didn't go hop in the car and we didn't go hop on no plane or nothing. But those little moments, and it go both ways, right? Because you being an adult, you get to tap back into your childhood. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Yeah, you get to bring out that creativity and stuff like that. So that's that interchange again. A lot of fathers and mothers who abandon their kids, they don't never experience that. They don't see the power in spending that quality time with their kids, and using their imagination, going back to childhood and being goofy and silly and doing all that, with your kids. It changes you. It really changes you, makes you a better person.
Yes, sir, and I agree. And thank you for sharing that too.
Yeah, thank you.
Because a lot of people don't realize that. Like you said, the moments don't cost nothing, and that means everything. Like you said, me getting tapped back in my childhood, because I feel like I had to grow up fast, but also like I didn't get chances like to be at all these parks and do stuff. So when I am at Disneyland or all these places I never not used to, I kind of like get to experience some of the stuff that, like you said, that I didn't experience. Like I just hung around the neighborhood. I really didn't go nowhere. Like, to be honest, when I was young, I never traveled. I never did anything.
Yeah,
My parents were too busy about Bill. You know what I mean? So it's like how I grew up was kind of like, what I mean, we did small things, but now it's like, I don't want to live like that. I swear, it's like I did a whole 360 change for how I was like raised to how I'm raising my kids. They'll never, experience moving a lot of times, and just like how, man, I done lived so many places and did so much stuff, but it's just like they ain't got to worry about bill. They ain't got to worry about things. They can worry about just being a kid. That's what I want them to worry about.
yeah, facts. Facts. So based on that, what important values, when I mean by values, I mean like internally, right? Like the value of hard work, the value of like education, so on and so forth. What do you want your children to remember? What values?
The values I want them to remember is I want them to have standards. I want them to have morals. I want them to definitely have education. My wife is big on education. She even put me back in school. I got my BA, I got my A, and I got my BA, and I also have my wellness counselor. And it's all because of her, because she pushed me to be great. to be better, not just settle. Like I would have been settling, but when you got a strong woman, she ain't gonna let you just be there, and she pushes me to be great with my business. Also, like she always talks to me when I feel like I want to do things because we get in our own head sometimes, and we do need somebody that could talk some sense to us or give us that that battery in our back to keep us going. And I want my kids to know that education is important because it's not just about a piece of paper. It's about you learn how to think for yourself. You learning, you find your own way and you pursuing your own dream, your own passion. Whether it's education, whether it's being a doctor, whether it's being a lawyer, whether it's being, a skilled worker somewhere, or doing something that you want to do. I want them to do what they want to do, but also have the means to figure it out themselves, and I want to guide them in the right direction. I don't want them just to go to school or do something they don't want to do because, they do push college on us, but what's the good college if you don't not doing what you want to do?
Yep.
Um, so I really want to find that career path. Like I was able to get a degree in something that I'm actually doing now. So youth development and programming. I wanted to write programs for youth and wanted to facilitate. So I was able to find a degree that actually fit my lifestyle without actually trying to do. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, I got my BA in criminology or something like that. Like, no, I got my degree in something that I'm actually doing right now. I learned how to build nonprofits and work and things like that. So I want them to know the importance of educating yourself, building something, being your own person, standing up for something, not falling for anything, and just really instilling values for them, to be able to better understand themselves. But also when people can't talk to you and stuff, like I think I'm great at nobody just telling me anything. I can research. I got a phone. When somebody starts talking that nonsense about whatever, I'm able to debate a lot because a lot of stuff I do know already, but I'm not just gonna say people word. I'm gonna do my own research. I'm gonna look things up. I don't just take people you know, word for anything. I always research how to, what to, and now we got like things like Chat GPT where you can just get a whole plan. You can understand something in just a couple seconds. Like you can really break things down. So it's like I just want them to know the power of research, intelligence, and really building something and being for something. A lot of people on this earth just live life and they caught up in the stimulation. They not really living for nothing. They just living just to I don't know, eat and pay bills. Like it's not about that. Life is about having fun, having the freedom, and be able to help people, and do great things, go places, and see the world. It's not about being stuck in your community and dying from gang banging or drugs or getting caught in the wrong thing. Then you just wasted your life. Life is about I think life should be a fun thing, should be experienced, not the sad things that come with it. And I feel like we choose what we want to do in life and we get caught up, but you don't have to be there because it's crazy because when you get the older you get, you realize like every decision I made, I'm here now. You can't be 40 years old talk about my mother, my father put me here, it's their fault. You're 40 years old. You got the willpower to do whatever you want to do. Right. A lot of people, we still blame our environments, things, but we can move. We can choose to do things. So I think choice is the best thing I'm really starting to understand, and I want my kids to have a choice. Just like you got a choice to have free will, you got a choice to go left or right. You got a choice to do good or bad. You got a choice to do anything. It's already up to you. So I already feel like we got a choice to live however we want to live, and if we choose the right way, that's when things are going to open up for us. So I just want to know they got a choice and push them to do great things.
Yeah. Well said. What do you now when it comes to morals, so these morals, and I base this on the Bible, Galatians 5:22-23. When it talks about fruit of the spirit. So, peace, love, kindness, goodness. So what morals do you want your children to remember?
Same thing you said. I want the peace, love. I want them to be outstanding citizens. I want everything. Love thy neighbor. I want them to be outstanding citizens. I want them to have peace, but I also want them to have integrity. I want them to be um, educated. I want them to be the definition of what it means to be black, especially in America. You know what I mean? Because when we come to black people, we got this thing of crab in the barrel mentality, or ratchet, or everything that don't really represent all the black people. You know what I mean? You got the black people, and then you got the niggas. Excuse my word, but you got all these different groups of what a black person is supposed to be. But then they never talk about the real strong black that's doing something, sororities, what I mean, the fraternities, all these things are real examples of people building businesses and having wealth and doing something for their community, standing up for something. And because like me just being in this business, I'm starting to go to more like black organizations, more meeting brunches, gatherings. I'm seeing people that's actually making a difference, that's actually doing a whole lot of work. But it seems like when it comes to our people, we don't really get that spotlight as everybody else. So we really can't see the people actually doing the work unless you're on Instagram and things like that. But it's like, but when you do go into some of these rooms and you start talking to some of these brothers and sisters and you start seeing the story, we all pretty much got the same story. We come from somewhere and we made it out. Like I told you, like we had a choice, Be honest, most of us did grow up in the neighborhood, in the hood somewhere. Some of us did grow up in suburbs, was fortunate to grow up in suburbs, right? But they all had a choice. And I want us to all have a choice with my kids, like I said, to have a choice and have values attached to that.
Got it. Yeah. If you can give yourself, your younger self, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Hmm. One piece of advice. Man, start early, man. I would, if I can go back and see my younger self for now, like I just got my degree 3 years ago. I think I would say get your education, focus on your plan. I think I wasted a lot of time just working. Like I got caught up in that stimulation, just working and making money and not accomplishing nothing. I started my business 3 years ago, got my degree 3 years ago. And I feel like if I was doing this in my 20s, ain't no telling what I would have been. I did the rap thing for a minute. I was kind of successful with that a little bit, but I already feel like I could have been doing two things at one time. So if I can go back, I would say focus on the plan, create a business, save some money, and get educated. Because I really feel like the education part is knowing better. Because then if I would have stayed in, I would have still met some good people, but I would have knew what I want to do with my life. I was going in and out of school, trying to find myself and things like that. But I really feel like if I was started earlier, man, I would. Whew, little advice to be like, man, you can start a business, you can do this, do that. Focus on that. Focus on yourself. I was too busy worrying about everybody else. People trying to tell me we should do this. Let's rappers go over here. Let's travelers go to Vegas. Let's go out here. You know what I mean? So I waste a lot of time and money running running the rat race. It's just looking good. Got the got the clothes, got the drawers, got the shoes, but not really accomplishing nothing. Not doing nothing meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you. So, in regards to your career, right? What do you want for the youth in Oakland?
I want to change it. I want to change the whole point of view of what people think of Oakland. When you think of Oakland, the first thing you think about is bipping, killing, stolen cars, YNs. Like you don't think nothing positive when you say Oakland. When you say the word Oakland, people think of negative. That's why I want to start my nonprofit back in Oakland. Because growing up in Oakland, I don't remember it being as crazy as it is now. Like now, it's just like I swear, it's like I don't know. It's like Babylon or something. It's crazy. It's like the city looked deserted. Like every business is boarded up almost. People are leaving the city with businesses because our people is robbing them, crashing their cars through them. Any business that's thriving, is finding a way to mess it up and sabotage the community. People are just doing what they want to do. So it's like I want to I want to change the perspective of it is good young men out there, young women out there, billion, people that can make some money, millionaires, billionaires. They just need the resources and access to the right people to put them in the right place. And I do see other organizations that's really trying to bring it back because when I'm out there, I'm like, man, there's a lot of talent out here. A lot of them remind me of myself.
Mhm.
So when I'm working with them and I'm doing stuff, I'm realizing that man, Oakland still is great. A lot of us looking like, it lost its touch, it's losing its culture, it's getting gentrified. Yeah, that's true, all that above. But still got some of the best food, still got some of the best talent as far as sports, rapping, arts, culture, historical, And it's like, I don't want Oakland to lose everything. We already lost the Raiders, lost the A's, you know what I mean? Um, Warriors, so it's like it's losing everything and I don't want the Oakland to go away for what I remember to being something else 20 years from now, and it looked like that's what's starting to happen. You look at a city like Richmond. Richmond, I've seen something lost like over like 79% of its black culture.
Mhm.
It's full of Latinos and Mexicans. You know what I mean? So it's like Oakland, we see it being diversified. But Oakland is a place that always going to be home of everything: the Black Panthers, the Raiders, the A's. Um, and I want to keep make sure that history, and I want to make sure that the youth know. And it's crazy because when I talk to youth, I was talking about the Black Panthers and the WIC program and how great things is, and they like, oh, I never knew that. I'm like, right in West Oakland, no, and it's like I'll constantly have to tell our history and keep it alive and keep fighting for Oakland because it's like a lot of people give up on Oakland. We go to some of these schools, some of these programs. It's like my program is one of the few programs that actually like give back a lot. That's in these schools. I'm at a lot of these schools, continuation schools too, Rugdale, Alternative in Action. I'm at Homies Empowerment. I'm at Oakland Tech. I'm at good schools, bad schools. I'm at the schools people don't go to, Street Academy, right? And it's like I give back, but also I see like the need, what's lacking. It's a lot of women in education, right? And it's the dudes like me, like you, like other people that that should be out there. They're missing that because these young, YNs or young men, they don't see positive examples. They only see people they big homies on they block, tell them to do the wrong things, how to get money, how to sell this, how to pimp, how to all the wrong things. And I know because I'm talking to them like, man, what you be hearing? What they be telling you? Like they tell me the truth. Man, my big homie woo whoop, he gave me this, he gave me the woo whoop. So it's just like it's no more positive, it's no more positive structure, right? Back then there was rules and stuff. Like sometimes they said, "Nah, you just stay in school, get off the block, like you don't belong here, you play football." Like ain't none of that no more. They recruit anybody and they got people crashing out. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And it's like it's no more real young men to be like, you don't even supposed to belong. Like, what you doing? Your dad don't want you over here, your mom don't want you over here. They just recruiting and letting them do stuff. That's why you look at Oakland. It's the young kids doing all the killing and riding their cars, the side shows and killing themselves and flying out the windows, no seatbelts on. A lot of them are young, and you see them too. They all got the ski masks on. They all got the what they call it, the poo shiesties on. They all running around. You see them riding. You look to the left. Well, I swear I looked to the left. I seen a kid. He couldn't be no older than 10 years old. And he was driving a big van like this, right by Eastmont. Like I was like, just a little. I'm looking. I was like, bro, like I'm like, what is going on? This kid, he's shirt off. Little, it looked like he was setting up. I was like, bro, what is going on? He riding a van. I know he stole it. I was like, ain't no way a little kid. And he looking over. I'm like, bro. I'm like, what? I slowed down, let him go in front of me. I was like, he ain't about to. He was in the bro. He was like in the toy. He was in the hoopty. I know he didn't start it with some scissors or something, but if you see him, he was a little. And he was driving like this too. Like he was just. I was just like, ain't no way. But you see that a lot in Oakland. You look to the left and right, you see somebody, the kids, right? You like, man, a Pooh Shiesty on, you like, man, they in the Infinity. You know what time it is. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So so it's just like it's a lot that we have to do. And I feel like the job is never complete, but that's why I got a special place for Oakland. And I make sure even when I'm programming, I'm always connected to my people, but also keeping it real. That's why my program is thriving in Oakland because I keep it real. I ain't got time to sugarcoat nothing. I lost a couple students, you know, unfortunately, some died, some OD'd and things like that.
Mm.
Um, and I just keep it real with them, you know what I mean? Because they need to hear, especially young females out there. And it's crazy because you got these older men that's picking them up from the schools too. I'd be like, why just do a pull up in a BMW and you see a little 16, 17-year-old jump up in it? You like,
Hmm.
bro, I see some wild stuff, man. And yeah, man. So yeah, I just want a better future for Oakland. I'm trying my best to make an impact the best way I know how. And so far, I've been making a little impact. I've been trying my best, and it's not easy, and it's hard, and it is stressful. But somebody gotta, somebody from here understands it, and they can help. Because I know most of their uncles and cousins and things like that too. So they
Yeah.
know, like, okay, and they be checking me out. A kid will ask about you too. So and so. Oh yeah, man, you didn't know that's woo whoop. So yeah, they be doing their background too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And that was facts too. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause that's one of the reasons one of the career paths I was thinking about going into, but I chose ultimately I'm goal to be an art therapist. I was making that decision. Like, okay, I did want to become a teacher, but then I was like, you know what? I want to have like a more like one-on-one impact, so I could really focus, on those youngsters who really got those deep-rooted emotional, mental, what I'm saying, like, problems, from the trauma they experienced from their parents, from growing up in bad neighborhoods and bad situations. You can only do so much as a teacher. you know, because
Right.
you kind of shackled because you got to teach what the district tell you to teach, right? So you can't really, you can't really get in, that one-on-one bond. And I think a lot of kids need that. So that's why ultimately I chose like, yeah, I want to be an art therapist. That's so like I'm finishing up at Chabot with my art degree. Then the plan is to go to Cal.
Yes.
Yeah, then to go to Cal State East Bay, get my degree in psychology, and then I got I think it's called Dominican University over in Marin somewhere, and get my master's, what I'm saying, in psychology. So I mean art therapy. So that's one of the few colleges that have that. It's like it's kind of like a new curriculum, so that's kind of dope. But same thing. That's why I started that, the brand, through the fire. I'm saying to teach kids, in Oakland, like, hey, you ain't got to go down that road, man. There's other outlets to life than the streets and acting wild and crazy and so on and so forth. But that's hard for a kid to know if they ain't never had nobody to show them.
Right.
Because you know in the schools, these teachers are gonna put you on the back burner. You know what I'm saying? They see that, yeah, you a little black boy, what I'm saying, single mom, single parent, you talking back, whatever, instantly you getting labeled. So I got friends in education that's told me that
Yep.
work in schools. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, that's what they do. They label you, and then boom, the whole school, the whole staff labels you. You're done. You know what I mean? So it's very important for for like people like yourself and other groups. You know what I'm saying? Myself doing what I'm doing is like we gotta come together. You know what I'm saying? And really, what I'm saying, just stay with it. You know, just stay
Yes,
with it.
sir.
We ain't gonna get everybody. That's one thing I really, we're not gonna get everybody because at the end of the day, like you said, with choice, is everything's based on choice. Everything based on choice. You could sit here and lay something out somebody one, two, three, A, B, C. But at the end of the day, they got to choose themselves what they want to do. You know,
100% agree. Yes, sir.
but the job is putting it out there. At that point, it's like, hey man, I showed you, I told you, I helped you. If you don't want to make that choice, then you got to deal with them consequences. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, thanks for sharing that. So second to the last question right here. Two-part. How does the city of Oakland, in your opinion, how does that affect being a father in a positive way, like growing up here?
Man, kind of what you just said. So, how affect being a father in a positive way?
Yeah, like because like you said, like Oakland is a unique place, right? Because you got
Hmm.
all different kind of cultures. You got music, food, the weather is dope. You know what I mean? We got an international airport. You know what I'm saying? We right across from an iconic city in San Francisco.
Definitely so.
We're not too far from the snow. You know what I'm saying? We're not too far from wine country. So, like you said, Oakland is a dope place.
It's
Like,
that place.
even though we got the negatives that's going on. So, how does being the father here how has that affected you in a positive way?
I think it affected in a positive ways because you know how to adapt to anything. I feel like if you come from Oakland, you know how to kind of navigate, around anywhere. If you can make it in Oakland, you can make it out anywhere, and I think that's absolutely true because being in environments, um, like Oakland, it just prepares you for the world and in positive ways. Like me working in because I worked in juvenile hall and things like that, so it was nothing I haven't seen when I was growing up and things like that. So I'm able to kind of see the world for what it is. And I worked at Children's Hospital in Oakland for a number of years, so I was able to see the uniqueness of Oakland and the community. And but also, it's like I know a lot of great people straight from Oakland, like from the town that's doing something, and I see the odds against them, and I see them made it through. I see them strive, and it's like a lot of people that's from here is like proud to be from Oakland, and it's like they go to be great things. They leave, they go to college, they come back. Some of them give back. They start nonprofits. They got organizations. And like you said, like the Black Panthers, one of the best to do it. As far as people, came straight from Oakland and went, pretty much, nationwide. And it's like, that came straight from the town. And to me, that was like a pivotal moment because we didn't have no identity. Being African American is like we really don't have our own. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're African, but we also American because we stuck here. We don't know, our traces. We know we came from Africa, and then we get lost somewhere in the middle patches, and raped and abused and things like that. And it's like this is our home. So it's like to be able to have this type of black pride, that comes straight from Oakland. We can identify with stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like to be able to tell our kids and this place, be able to go to Lake Merritt and still see the beautiful things, eat some of the best food. To me, the town still got some of the best Mexican food and little spots you can find, little pop-up restaurants, things like that. It's like it's rich in everything, in a positive way. And then I think like just the connection, just like If you're from the town, like you know somebody do a little bit of everything. It's like you know pretty much everybody. You know what I mean? And it's like ain't no place like Oakland, and you really see it. It's like you can go downtown, and there's always something going on. It's a poetry night, it's a club, it's a little wine tasting pop up, a sipping paint. There's always something going on in Oakland. It's always busy, and it's always cracking. And no lie, you can just walk around the lake and just meet dope people, just doing something, just being out. When I went to Laney, I met so many dope people. When I got back in school that I connected with, especially with the music stuff, and it's like some of them connections I still got. And like you said, you want to go to Cal State East Bay. It was like that was pushing me to go to Cal State East Bay, and that's how I learned a lot of stuff I learned now. And it's like a lot of great people went there too. So it was just like Oakland is a unique place that's full with culture, historical, sports, uh, just great people overall in general. So I think just being from here and just knowing people, it's no place. It's no place like home.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, how does the city of Oakland affect being a father in a negative way?
Well, we can go that can go on forever. I think it's almost more negative than positive. Only reason I say that is it beats it a little bit because your environment, depending on where you live at, you raising kids and in the neighborhood, eventually, the kid you are a product of your environment. I don't care how hard you try, they start playing outside, they gonna play outside with the robbers, killers, dealers, everybody, right? So somebody gonna try to have influence on them. They gonna look up to somebody. Yeah, they got their father, yeah, they got their mother, yeah, they got their parental figures in their life, but eventually when they get to middle school and they really start thinking for themselves, are they gonna get caught up with the kids around the neighborhood? Are they gonna start learning how to steal, bikes, getting in them stolen cars? Are they gonna depend on where you live at? You live in Brookfield, Sobrani, the Dubs, somewhere, with a high, crime, the Ville, somewhere, a project, Acorn. Are they going to be outside? Somebody going to shoot the block up? Are they going to be a victim of violence? Are they going to get robbed? Because most of the kids don't do nothing. Unfortunately, Oakland's one of them cities you ain't got to do nothing. We call it Gotham City. Something can happen to you. Um, a lot of my kids got robbed just trying waiting for the bus or just waiting to walking home or going home too late or doing something like. Unfortunately, a lot of senseless acts of violence and crime happens, and a lot of people get caught up in um, senseless acts of things. We see young females now getting killed at a high number now. It's like growing up, I don't remember females getting killed like that. Now you see girls that's 21, 22 getting shot up like they dudes. You know what I mean? Like people are targeting females because they funk with so and so, they killing their girlfriend, killing
Yeah.
their sister. You know what I mean? And it's like a new thing now. It's like they funking, they killing girls too. Um, So yeah, man, it's scary. It's scary because I know I'm seeing girls, getting snatched up, being killed, things happen, and it made me think about my daughters. If I was in a neighborhood, I couldn't protect them, or something happened, they come in home and something happened in the neighborhood or something like that. So it's constantly worried about they just making it back home. And when I talk to some of these parents, unfortunately, they worry that. So some of these parents pick their kids up because they don't want them catching the bus.
Yeah.
One kid I know, he wasn't even from Oakland, but he's kind of, I ain't gonna say in that life, but he came out here for a better life supposedly, but he ended up getting pistol whipped on the bus. And it's like that was like you so and so. He's like I ain't from out here, and he's like get off the bus, and he ended up getting jumped and pistol whipped, last year. And it's like did he deserve it? He not even from out here. He don't bang none of that stuff, and he don't, even though he looked like, what I mean, he could be involved in something, but it's just he not from out here, and it was messed up because I felt bad for him, and I kind of like turned him bad a little bit, what I mean, after that happened, because he just ended up going to jail because now he carrying a gun on him,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he got beat bad. When I say you talk about pistol whip, so then his face was messed up. They robbed him, left his pockets inside out, took his shoes. They did him bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he young, he in high school, and some of these kids are like 19, 20. So just imagine the
Yeah.
kind of beating they put on them. So yeah, man. So that's one thing that I worry about is just things happening, but also I've been driving around. I see somebody get their car stolen right in front of me, and just man. You see you down the street, you blah 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 blah, or you see somebody running, or you see somebody getting bit. It's just like I just mind my business, and it's hard in the city just to be sad. I was like I just want to make it home.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those is facts, dude. So based on that, man, based on that, this is the last question. When you're dealing with the, those heartbreaking stories when you at work from, all the different youth that you work with, right? When you seeing what's going on in the town, you get home and you got to do the whole daddy life. You got your kids running around, climbing on you, crying. They want food. They want to go play. When you dealing with all the stresses of life, what's your go-to hobby to help you get through?
That's easy, man. Working out, putting on a some type of motivational YouTube video, something that give me the power to keep moving forward. Gospel music, just anything positive I can listen to, and I can work out, relieve that stress, and just get my mind clear. Get in touch with the higher power. I started doing it last like really like 2 years. I've been really focused on just motivation before I wake up and get into the craziness of emails and Instagram. I put on some motivation on YouTube. It helped my mind get straight, prepare for the day, but also have the strength for my family and for the kids I'm about to work with because I can't wake up in a negative mindset. I gotta wake up with ambition and goals and determination and ideas and ideologies to move forward and know I can make it and I can help others and I can succeed and you're not too far from where you came, so anything that I can listen to that can push me forward. It could be music, but mostly it's been like podcasts or motivational videos that really help me get right. You know what I mean? A prayer or even a meditation, even sitting in silence, think about what you want to do and just rearranging your thoughts, not letting the world think for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when I get home, like you said, to decompress, like I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna make sure I take a second. Sometimes I sit in the car for 2 or 3 minutes and just breathe, let it all out, and don't try to take none of it home with me. And taking a good shower too, or sometimes like I ain't gonna lie, taking a shower can wash up a lot of negative energy.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised. Next time you're going through something really bad, or you really stressed out, take a good shower. Take a good couple minutes. You know what I mean, and then see how you feel after. You'll feel a whole lot better. I noticed like you wash that negative energy off of you, and you have a long hard day or something going on, you're gonna feel a whole lot better.
yeah. No, facts,
Yeah.
facts. Yeah. I do the same thing. I wake up every morning. I read the Bible. Even it's like just one scripture, focus on that, and that sets the tone for the day. Like you said, before I dive into the laptop and get into them emails and and doing all that and having to worry about what's going on at work, I set that tone and it helps out. And then yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, it's like my sons know, like, hey, yo, we going to the gym. Like, y'all ain't ready at a certain time. Yeah, dad gonna go to the gym for a quick hour or something and be back. But the gym, that's like the top of the pyramid. In my opinion, to live a healthy life, it's a pyramid. The foundation is, your spiritual health, then so your mental health, your emotional health, and then lastly your physical health. I feel if a person works on those four areas of their life, you'll live your healthy life. You'll live a healthy life. You know what I'm saying? So I resonate with that, bro, 1000%. And that's the end of the interview, man. I appreciate you greatly, man. I thank you for sharing all that. That meant a lot. This was one of them interviews I remember. Like facts.
Hey, yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time, you know what I mean, and just really having a good conversation. And how could I support you with this? Are you gonna post it or tag me on Instagram or something
Oh
so I can
yeah.
like support you?
Yeah, I'm gonna edit this whole thing, and what I like to do is I break down the questions, so I'll go back and rewatch the whole interview, and post it, question by question. Some questions, I try to keep it between like a minute and a minute and a half. So like some questions I have like part one, part two, part three, and so after I edit it, I'll send you all the episodes. And then, if you can repost it up on your platforms, that'll mean a lot. And then of course, I plan on like this first phase, this is like the introductory, what I'm saying, interview. And then after I go through the list that I have for that, the second phase, it'll start to dive into like asking, more featured questions, what I'm saying? Like kind of like relating to what's going on present day. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah, so most more, hopefully, you'll be willing to jump back on, in the months down the road. But that's one way you can support, just repost it, for me. That'd be huge.
Yes, sir. I got you. And like I said, you can collaborate with me too, bro. I'll accept it too. So when you post something,
Yeah,
me and both our pages, bro. So it's all good.
I appreciate that, man. Greatly. I greatly, yeah, because I just got approved yesterday to be a part of the Fatherhood Summit that they about to have at the Marriott on September 27th. I'll send you the link if you want to pull up, because It's ran through at the county level from First Five Alameda
Hmm.
and the Fatherhood Initiative. They're behind all that. So I got some big things coming up. So I'm really excited about what's going on, man. So I really
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks, man. So I really appreciate you being part of this because whoever's a part of it, I'm a for sure. You know what I'm saying? Bring him in. You know what I mean? Because like you said, we can't do this on our own, man.
No, we can't. And
Yeah.
I probably connect you. Have you connected with the 81st Street with that fatherhood program going on? Is it on Tuesdays or Wednesdays? You
Mm,
connected with up?
mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna connect with my boy up there. They do like a whole fatherhood group. I think it's the 81st Street Library. I got his contact info, so I'll be shooting you something so you connect with him.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. So, like I said, I'll send you give me a few days to edit this up,
All
and
good.
I'll email it to you, and I'll give you that information for that fatherhood summit, and you'll hear from me soon, man. You take care. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You take care too. It was a pleasure, an
Likewise.
honor. All right, yes, sir. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you.